amigo meu.
Stan, ninguém dá pro palco. Pro palco, pra cima. É a quando cima, anda.
Pô, agora, mano, posso convidar aqui um amigo, por favor?
Não pode, não,
Ah,
não.
convido.
É porque estava a jogar com ele no campo.
Convido.
Mas tem a lata de sair, demora assim tanto.
É o evento, Sunny.
Eh,
É o evento.
Voltem por lobby, eu quero para ver se ganhamos mesmo o envelopamento.
Olha,
Mano, vou voltar para o lobby para ver se ganhamos o envelopamento.
Não vais ganhar, mas sabe.
Se ganhar, ganhei. Eu quero que se ganhar, GG.
Já, se ganhaste.
Care about you and your condition, or to the next level who do. A new initiative that we're dealing with is educating felons, right? So in the state of Texas, if you're a felon, right, that
Texas.
has been in the jail or the prison, and but you're no longer on
E é
probation
coitado
and
do
on
gajo.
parole, you have the right to register to vote. Another thing that was just brought to my attention is an initiative called the Orange, which is happening not just in Houston
Estive
but all
assim.
over the country. If you're in
Já
jail
volto.
currently during pretrial, but you have not been
Stunning.
convicted, like you're still in jail
Stunning.
waiting for your day in court, you are still eligible to vote.
And you said something so key. They work so hard to hope that we stay uninformed, but more importantly, to suppress the black vote. If you could do one thing with this message that we're trying to send today about how important voting is, what type of images would you like
Estou
our
chatão.
people to understand and see when they go to these polls and vote or when they cast their ballots?
Olha a skin da
The images
Govix.
that we've all seen, you know what I'm saying,
É o
for
chatão.
decades
É
in
o
this
chatão.
country, if
Não, não é
not
o
centuries
chatão.
in this country, we've seen black people oppressed, we've seen
Olha a
black
skin da
people
Govix.
attacked. So every time you look back and you see those old black and white images of people of color being attacked by dogs and people of color being sprayed with hoses, that's what they were fighting for. Back then, they were just fighting for a chance to vote. People like Martin Luther King Jr., people like Malcolm X, these people died to help us um, be in a position to have the power that we have now, which is to be able to cast a vote and make a decision about the people that have controls over our lives. So, I mean, if you in your own community need a reason to vote, look at a person like George Floyd. If the people in your city are not open to police reform, are not open to having a conversation about defunding the police, are not open to issues concerning economic equality, judicial equality, and racial equality,
Poder
right? If they're
judicial.
scared to say Black Lives Matter, you
As
have the
regras.
power to put people in those positions who do believe that Black Lives Matter, who do believe in racial equality, economic equality, judicial equality,
That's right.
right?
That's
Who
right.
see us as human beings. And if the people in your community don't feel that way, vote them out. It's that simple. You just vote them out. We don't have enough time to sit around and hope that people change their minds.
Yeah, Bumpy, you point out something so important. We have the power, and that is in our vote, and that is with our voice, and that's how we use our voice. I think of where we are right now. People say this is a particular moment, but it is a movement, not just a moment, it is a movement. Why, in your opinion, was it George Floyd's death? Why was that the chosen brutality for people to say, oh my God, black people are still oppressed in this country, and it is not fair?
I think it's twofold, Carrie. And so many different encounters with between people of color and the police, there simply is no proof of what happened in the interaction.
Mm.
And so what happens is in a court of law, it tends to lean towards the policeman's point of view, right? In this case, we saw very clearly what happened. I think the other thing is due to the fact that everyone was at home, basically during this time period in relation to the coronavirus. You couldn't avoid it, right? It was on every television
Coronavirus.
station, it was on every social media platform. Everywhere you turn, you were constantly hit upside the head with this message. You see in the interaction that this man did nothing to deserve what happened.
That's right. And I think so well said because if you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't worth it, and he didn't have to lose his life. I think that you touched on something that a lot of people talk about, and that is now defunding the police. That has been such a huge conversation, but there's so many misconceptions around defunding and dismantling. If you will, educate the audience.
All right, so most people, when they hear the term defund the police, they tend to think of, oh, they're going to take away our police department. Nothing could be further from the point. Defunding the police means that in certain communities, even Houston, take for example, we had over $1 billion allocated to our police force. Now, what is that money being used for? Some of that money tends to be allocated towards riot shield, right? Pepper spray, right? That kind of thing. That's
Se
only
tornasse-te
used
feminino de
against the
Galaxy.
people that fund
Yeah.
this budget,
Deves ver,
right? So
estava
why would
brutal.
the people want to supply the police with the means to oppress them? If the police are concerned about the situations in certain communities with a higher crime rate, well, higher crime rates tend to happen in communities where there's not there's not employment opportunities, right? There's not a lot of social services, and people are going to do what they need to do to take care of themselves and their families. When the community has more opportunities for employment, more opportunities for upward mobility, then they tend to be a less of a strain on the government. They tend to have a lower crime rate. And because of that, we'll have less need for the police in those communities.
You are passionate about so many different things in terms of making sure that we are holding our leaders accountable. Talk to me about some of the other projects that you're working on.
Well, right now, obviously, being a part of More Than a Vote is essential. We're dealing with primaries in this country right now. And we just want to educate people. We want to inform people because people are tired, they're angry, they're concerned, and they want information and they want action. And so we want to make sure that we give them the right information
Para.
and lead them in the right direction. And we thank the people that do not look like us for standing with us right now because it's very
Amen.
important that people who aren't black be involved because if black people could have gotten rid of racism, we would have done it hundreds of years ago. And so I'm trying to use my voice and my platform just to let people know that if they feel like I do, there's a number of places they can go to enact change in their community. People need to know about how their city council runs. They need to know that they have the ability to speak when city council meets, to let them know that that's not the way that they feel their city needs to be run. Those are not the places that they feel the money of their
And but
community needs to be allocated.
being even a step further, they can run for office in their local community. They can run for positions. Like people act like they leave it up to somebody else. If you're upset, it's not hard to get on the school board. It's not hard to be a part of the city council. It really isn't. And depending on how small your town is, you could be a mayor. It's the power is with the people, and we need to just know that that's happening.
Absolutely. And it's always been with the people. You know, if you look at Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, right? She felt that there was a system of racism and a system of oppression that led to her son's death. And so what did she do? She ran for city council and she was elected city council. Our own former president, 44, Barack Obama, right? Started in the community as an activist, ran for an elected position, became senator, ran
Country
for another
accent.
elected position and became president of the United States. So don't think that you
Yes,
can't make a
mother.
difference. You know what I'm saying? You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a lot of power. Your voice is enough to make a difference.
Amen. I feel like I need to go out and run for something. You gave me a rousing speech there, sir. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. When I talk to my brothers, I have to ask you, as a black man, how are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I have a very strong relationship with God, so prayer definitely works for me. I have children and grandchildren who are watching me, who are encouraged by what I do, and they're proud of me right now, and that's really what matters, The change starts at home, so as long as you have a support system that believes in what you're doing and supports you in what you're doing, you have everything you need to go out there and fight the good fight. And for those that don't, there's a community of people here to help you. So you can go to places like morethanavote.org. There are many different places that will encourage you, inform you, and they will put you with groups of people that feel like you that are ready to take action. So no one has to go about this alone if they want to do it.
We're stronger together. People have been saying it, but that has much more meaning now that we are in our movement, not just this moment. Verbi, it has been an education, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Keep fighting the good fight.
Keep up the good fight.
Yeah, Lala.
So our next guest, I have to admit, I'm a fan, but there are so many different people that we could talk to, and I thought it was so imperative that we speak with her. You know her as Molly on the huge, successful show Insecure, HBO's Insecure. She also has a comedy special highlighting her Nigerian roots. and she's an amazing podcaster. Let's welcome in Yvonne. You have such a beautiful way of
Ah, pois
making
é,
things
temos,
funny, giving
voltou hoje
us
com
our
o Galaxy
medicine with some
Cup. Ah,
candy,
pois é.
right?
E no outro vídeo
The
eu estava a
humor and the
gravar o
healing.
ecrã, mas
You
tipo,
bring
ele ficou
all of
corrompido a
that
gravação, por isso é que só
to
viram
your
a câmera
space.
já. E
And
agora
right
isto está
now,
bugado, meu.
as you look across this
Meu,
country and how everyone
como
is
é
so
que é suposto
broken
eu
and
entrar?
so
São
upset,
todos
if
eles
it's not
aqui. É que eu
social
estou aqui
injustice, it's the
bloqueado outra vez a
pandemic, it's
gravação.
depression,
Estou a
it's
ver esta
unemployment,
porcaria.
the
Aqui
list goes
estava a
on
dizer que
and
estava a
on.
gravar, mas não estava.
How are you
Desgraçado,
doing?
onde é? Eu espero que desta vez não fique corrompido. Está aqui
You
Galaxy
know,
Cup.
I am.
Ok, desta vez não estou muito atrasado.
I'm
Estou meia hora, é
rediscovering
mau,
self
já. Eu já estive a treinar
in
um
a
bocado no
way
mobile,
that
agora já sou bué da
I
pro player.
that is hard but necessary. That will lead to ultimate joy. I know it sounds like a lot, but no, I think I personally think that God put all of us on a global timeout. Like we just, America hasn't done as good as other people when it comes to timeouts because everyone else is out playing at recess, and we're still in the principal's office hoping and wishing we can come out. But I think that if we settle into the timeout and really learn the lesson that we're supposed to learn from this season, I think we'll emerge better. We'll learn how to play well with others in more ways than one. And so personally for me, I'm taking this time to learn me in a new way. I feel like I'm being ushered into a new season and I'm getting still because sometimes the busy uh,
Certo,
confounds
yeah, basicamente é isso.
the work
Se
that
tu
we're
ganhar
supposed to
assim.
actually be doing. We're busy doing other stuff, but we got work that we need to do on the
Ok, vamos
inside. And I'm
ficar
like,
aqui
I'm leaning
agora.
into it. I'm like, dang,
Não sei como é que.
I thought I was gonna be able to rest like everybody else. And this guy's like, nah, we got work
Obrigado,
to
Fortnite. E
do.
agora ela viu
You
ao
know
vivo.
what? And I think that's what everybody is saying about 2020. It's
Galaxy
demanding
Cup.
that we
A
be
luta
better. And you said it's a global timeout.
pelo
What do you mean by
Galaxy
that?
Mulher.
Yeah, it's like everyone
Uau!
sit down. Sit
Pois
down,
é, já.
be humble,
Eu
to
sei que ele
quote
podia
the
chegar
great
aqui,
prophet
comprou.
Kendrick Lamar. But like no, seriously, sit down and let's reevaluate some things. Let us unearth and shake up the things that we have been trying to hide within ourselves, within our nation. I think America is going through an unraveling right now, a much needed, a much necessary one. And I think all eyes on us, right? There is no, oh, I was on the subway for an hour, so I didn't miss that thing that happened. No, everybody was home. Everybody, was watching when George Floyd died, and everybody, no one could hide it. Everyone was watching when Amy Cooper called the cops. Like this is a time where it's like, oh, we can't pretend it away. We can't excuse it away. So no. It's a global timeout. Sit down, watch, and let's learn. And globally, it's like, hey, we were going business as usual, but it ain't usual no more. Like that's old. Anytime change occurs, it's very uncomfortable. And so right now we're sitting with we're getting we're getting comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Then my own is we've been comfortable with being uncomfortable because that to me explains just the existence for whatever we want to do, how we break into our careers, how we live our lives, how we find ourselves one of the few or one of the first. And that's a lonely road. When you look at, and you talked about this global timeout, everybody had to pay attention to Amy Cooper. Everyone had to pay attention to George Floyd. How is that helping us as a people, as a country during our global
Oh,
timeout?
George Floyd.
I think, well, one, we're not minorities, Carrie. You already know it. It's like these labels that they put on us. It's like the same way of saying like black on black violence. Also, there's no white on white violence. It's branding,
Yeah, right.
right? It's all
Yeah,
branding.
you're right. You're
And it's
right.
like white people kill white people every single day. So no, there is no black on black violence. And if you say black on black violence, well then let's brand white on white violence. Like I watch Investigation Discovery. Ain't too many of us being featured. So I just even like, but to answer your question, what does that do? I think what everyone expected is what has happened in the past when the world was still open, right? In that, okay, you had everyone from Trayvon Martin to Castillo to Sandra Bland. You had all of these lives lost, and black people made some noise. We rioted, we got out in the streets, we started the Black Lives Matter movement, all of those things. And then white people kind of just like, oh, let's give them something. And then it's just like, is it over? It's like Oscar so black. Okay, good. We gave some Oscars. Are we good now? Like, are we even? And it's now it's just like, oh no. This is not about like abandonment. it's like, yo, we might have to amputate the leg a little bit, but it's all right because we're going to, by amputating the leg, we're going to save the body. And so I think that's what's happening now. Like, America is realizing, like, oh, black people aren't just making a little bit of noise. Like, the protests are still out. The conversations are still being had. The change is still being demanded. And I think they're seeing, oh, this is not going to go away. And no, it's not, because we need systematic change.
What a beautiful way to explore what is happening and describe our country. We might have to amputate the leg, but that's to save the body. That's what's happening right now. That's beautiful. And to that end, I have to ask you this, because the way that we do that, we use our voice. And our voice right now in this world, in this country, is our vote. And everyone talks about voting and how important it is, but I feel like more than ever, we understand that it's not just about voting every 4 years for the man in office. It's about your local elections. It's about the mayor. It is about the district attorney, the people who have the power to bring charges against police if police brutality is an issue in your community. If you care about your school district, you can run for the school board. I ask this of you, right? Your parents are from Nigeria. You are Nigerian. You talk about that very lovingly. What does voting mean for you?
I think voting is power. I remember, I became a naturalized citizen back in the 90s when, because I was still a minor, my mom naturalized, and so we were able to do it under her. And just even that power of like, we are American citizens and all the access that we have by being citizens, one of those accesses and those access to power being voting. It's a big deal. It's a big deal because not only are we do we have the opportunity to be in the country, but now we can be of the country. We can be of the systems. We can be of the rules. We can be of what it actually affords. But I think going back to your earlier comment about just the setup of systems, I think we are done a disservice. Either it's schools or whatever it is, and I'm not putting teachers on blast. I think teachers do a phenomenal job, but for some reason, we do not, and give them all the raises. I know too many parents who are like, I might, this child of mine, I do love them, but hey, who, where can I drop them off? And I do think that there's a disservice done because, again, when we talk about voting, to your point, we talk about every 4 years. It's important to vote for the presidency. We don't realize, like, oh snap, we actually can vote about like how much our libraries get. It's like small things like that, but they make a big difference.
When you think of voter suppression in this country, what does it look like?
It's the systems. When we talk about voter suppression, we also talk about systematic racism, right? It's all the systems that set up, and we've normalized. Okay, maybe your job will give you a half day, or maybe you'll be able to get this luxury. It shouldn't be a luxury. It should be built into the system. It should be built into the fabric of how we vote. But maybe you'll be able to get this luxury in order to enable you to go vote. Think about everything disenfranchised, marginalized black person has to endure in a day. So in a day, you need to get to work. If something happens to your car, if something happens to your child care, if something happens to, there's so many factors along the way that can send you into a tailspin as an American. And then you add on as a person of color. If you're just trying to get to vote and you already have to go through all of these hurdles and hoops in your everyday life, imagine the one day where your voice really is supposed to matter the most in this country. But then you also see all the times that you've tried to have your voice matter, and then it's been shut down, repressed, told it doesn't matter, and then you're kind of like, what's the point?
How do we keep hope though? If I'm watching this right now, how do we as a people stay hopeful? How do we believe in the promise that these quote unquote forefathers have given us?
Because have you met black people? By the frost, like hope is infused in our DNA. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, by the, like, if we haven't been broken out through, be it through slavery, through
Give it to
capitalism,
give it to me.
through
Give it to me.
colonization, through segregation, through, I mean, the history of black people in this country is, at one point we were 315.
At one point,
That was a written law. And look at us now. We are whole. We are black girl magic. We are black boy joy. We are, you know what I'm saying? What I think about in terms of giving us hope, right? We're making a lot of controversial claims, Carrie. We're making a lot of these moments right now because they're like, dang, we put all these obstacles in their way, and these jokers are resilient.
Olha,
But
mas
that's one of the
vocês
that's
não
one of the things
acertaram
that like
na
if you can't
bola?
stop, won't stop. I mean, I went to the school of Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Hashtag pop, Harlem shaking it right now.
Tens o gosto da
Can't
bola,
stop,
e tu
won't
tens o
stop.
gosto da bola.
And I think that's our motto. We can't stop voting and we won't stop voting. We can't stop marching and we will stop marching. We can't stop thriving and we will stop thriving.
To that end, because you led me directly there, I've been asking everyone who has appeared on this platform, what does activism look like? And I feel like back in the day, we had an idea. Yes, it is marching. Yes, it is protesting. Yes, it is speaking out against things that we feel are not right or unjust. But talk to me about what activism looks like for Yvonne Orji.
Listen,
Olha,
activism,
ele
the beauty of
lançou
activism
bola.
is that it has many faces, right?
Ele lançou bola
You're
pelo
gonna
brinco.
have the people on the front lines. Like,
Vai,
you know
sai.
what? Martin
Não
Luther
dá
King
para
Jr.
sair
said
assim,
there were a
não
lot
dá
of
para
women
sair.
who were
Tenta
in the
sair assim,
home,
não
like,
dá.
hey, BT Dubs, when they come
Ah,
back,
não, assim
this
não
is
dá.
how we
Não, não
support
dá.
all the
Tem
people
de
who are
ser.
marching on the front lines, and we're gonna be
Isto.
here
Com
doing
isto já
what we know to
consegues.
do best here. And you know
Não
what? Somebody
dá.
needs to bail them out of jail so that now we
Foda-se.
need to be in the community,
Assim não dá.
getting money or whatever it is. So it's like everybody has a position to play your position for sure,
Ah,
right?
assim
So
dá.
whoever you are and whatever
Olha,
you
já
do,
soltei.
play your position. So activists could look like, you know what? I'm not the one that can be on the front line, but you know what? My
Obrigado, quê?
pockets go deep, so I can support the people on the front line. You know, I'm a comedian.
Olha,
Black
Benita, esta
Joy
porta
is a
deixa ser
form of
rápida.
activism.
Atrás de ti.
There's always a call
Olá.
for entertainers or
Eu fiquei
celebrities
os
to have
dois.
the platform to do something. Why aren't you speaking out? I'm not a believer in thinking that it's mandatory. Like you said, everyone can be an activist and be activated in different ways. But talk to me about the connection. Talk to me about the marginalization in your world and how you feel like it even inspires you to say more and use your platform to do more.
Beneath the surface of what we do, like Niecy Nash says, it's the who, right? The who is the person who's going to be like, hey, let me call this out.
Ele chegou outra
Either
vez e foi
blind
toda
racism, in
lixada.
terms
Ai,
overt
opa.
racism, in terms of ways that we can be better, in terms
És
of
ganda
ways that we
pão.
can actually be more
Meu ganda
uplifting
boi,
to the
queres o
community
quê?
that
Ele foi
we don't
mandei.
even,
Estás
you
a
may
ver
not
o
even
quanto passa a
realize
vida a
that you're
desligar?
serving.
Before I let you go, talk to me about the urgency, in your opinion, for people to vote, our people to get out and vote this coming election.
Yeah, I mean, guys, 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 if you think you're tired now, I'm telling you right now, we cannot take this sitting down. We can't take this jokingly. I understand that it may be hard to figure out who to vote for, but at
Bem,
the end of
ela
the
deixa
day,
de ir agora.
we gotta vote for our families. We gotta vote for our legacies. We gotta vote for continued progress. We have to vote for
Pois já, ele é que
upward
pensa isso.
mobility. We have to vote for
Yes.
equality in a way that is long lasting. And if we succeeded before, we can do it again. We talk about the hope. This is the time. This is not the time to give up. This is not the time to pretend away that we haven't made progress. We have. There's still much more to be done. And you know what? We might have to get to a point where we pass the baton to our children and our children's children, but we still have work to do now for that generation.
Yvonne Orji, you are everything. You are Molly, but you are not Molly. But I love you so much as Molly on HBO's Insecure. You are an amazing podcaster. Shout out to Lovey. And then we also have movies. Like you, the world. You're a model, a cover model. Also, wait, don't let me forget your hugely successful stand-up comedy special on HBO. Girl, I mean, you're doing it all, and I am so grateful. You're truly the dream, not just the American dream. You're the black girl, brown girl, do it all dream, the immigrant dream, everything. You're a beautiful, beautiful soul. I really, really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Yvonne Orji, ladies and gentlemen, nothing but the best and excellence personified. Thank you so much.
I love you so much, Mama. Mwah.
Espera aí, vou fazer um café.
Yeah, la la.
So Atlanta has been one of the hotbeds in terms of political unrest and social injustice. We've seen so much happen in that city, and we've also seen so much come from that city, including one of our very own founding fathers of the civil rights movement.
Olha, Afonso, vou usar.
Porquê?
Não, mas só para ver o evento.
Ah, tchau.
Tchau.
Era aqui.
Pode vir aí no meio.
Estou com o jogo.
Get to the topic at hand.